So today I'm going to be watching this video. It's called An American Girl and Swedish Guy React to Swedish Stereotypes. I've watched a few videos of these two before, usually talking about Swedish words and the Swedish language. I like it when they're making videos together, quite funny. And yeah, interested to see this one about Swedish stereotypes. So you can tell me what Swedish stereotypes there are, what you think about them, if you think they're true, if you think they're deserved. If not, tell me why not. But yeah, let's watch this one. I don't really know any Swedish stereotypes, I don't think. So I'm just excited and interested to learn. Let's watch.
Hi, I'm Sky, I'm from the US.
And I am Oscar and I'm from Sweden.
I know about fika. And I know about smörgåstårta. So when I was younger, in middle school, I found PewDiePie on YouTube, and I wanted to learn Sweden. So I just briefly studied the culture, but yeah, I only learned a few things. Yeah, so I'm kind of new to everything.
It's still good, no? Smörgåsbord, fika.
Wait, smörgåstårta is like a sandwich, right?
Yeah.
It's like a cake,
Like
but a sandwich.
like a cake sandwich.
Yeah.
It's
And
lovely.
fika is like, even children eat fika, right?
Yeah.
Like in school. That's really cool. We don't get breaks in America like that, so I think it's pretty cool. But yeah, that's it. That's all I know.
Do you think smörgåstårta is a cake or a sandwich? Or is it like a sandwich cake or a cake sandwich? Does that make sense? I don't know.
That is a stereotype. I think about a lot of people in Europe or Scandinavian people. That is a very true stereotype. Some people have asked me if I'm Swedish or Russian, but I believe that's true for Americans. What do you think?
Well,
Do you hear this in Sweden?
As a Swede, I think this is not true. I mean, it is a
Right.
stereotype, right?
Yeah.
I don't consider myself very blonde.
I have blue eyes, but I think it's a minority actually in Sweden who's blue eyes.
Really?
Yeah, but we have a lot of mixed color, like blue, green, brown. It's very mixed eye color and hair color. So
That's definitely probably a stereotype, but a little bit true.
I mean,
But
we have a lot of people that are blonde and blue eyed.
Right,
So
right.
I like, yeah,
It's understandable.
it's understandable.
Yeah, I'm curious. What's the face of Sweden?
It's hard to say because in Sweden there's a lot of different kinds of people right now. It's very mixed with eye color and hairstyle and ethnicity. We don't really have a typical Swede per se. But I guess the stereotype still somewhat is blonde and blue eyes.
Yeah,
I do agree with
same.
that. But it's like seeing commercials and stuff like that, I think it's very mixed. From my personal perspective, I actually have no clue actually.
Yeah, that one I understand now in hindsight. Like when I was growing up, and if you see anything that's like related to Sweden, like a cartoon or TV show, and they're showing like a stereotypical Swedish person, it is always like very beautiful, blonde hair, blue eyes. I never really considered that. It does make sense to me. As he said, I guess it's not really the case that everybody's like that. It's the same as being Scottish. The stereotype is everybody has red hair, very white. I mean, I probably I fit that bill, but a lot of people don't. So maybe it's similar to that. Yeah, tell me what you think about that as well. This one, Swedes are very reserved and unemotional. I think that's two like different things. I kind of heard that people in Scandinavia are a bit more reserved and are happy in themselves. Maybe not antisocial, but like just a bit more reserved. I don't know if that's the case. A lot of like the Swedish comedy I watched and seen interviews with Swedish people, they seem very outgoing and happy, vibrant people. Unemotional, I have never heard Swedish people being described as that as well. If anything, like I said, the things I've seen with regards to Sweden, that's definitely not the case. They seem to have like strong personalities or interesting personalities, very funny. Unemotional is more like a stereotype you hear about maybe Germans and things, which again I don't think is true, but it's the only country I can think of like that.
Unemotional and reserved. What do you think?
Actually, most of the Swedes I've encountered are really like party animals. Okay, so I
This
don't
is
know about
true.
the emotional side, but
Yep.
like I said, I don't have much experience Swedish media other than watching PewDiePie or the band I like. On a personal level, I feel like maybe, but I'm not, what do you think? Because I don't really know, like personally.
I think this is very different about what season it is
Right.
and what day it is. So, for example, you mentioned party animals.
Right.
Yes. Typically, Swedish people like to party on the weekends. So, party animals, from my personal perspective, yes, very true. And also during the summer, Swedish people go outside, generally very happy, enjoying the
Right.
sun because
The weather.
finally,
In
right?
Sweden. I heard that it gets dark at 3 p.m. in winter. So I would also be
Yeah.
unemotional and
Yeah.
reserved
In
and not go outside.
some places in Sweden gets dark very early. So during the winter time, it's very common to wear thick jackets, just your hood over. You go to the grocery store and you go back, and then you like have a cozy night with a lit candle. And
Right.
at that time, I guess Swedes can seem a bit reserved and unemotional, I'd
Okay.
say. But summertime, weekends, I don't think that's it.
Wow, these are
I
stereotypes.
had
Only wear muted or neutral colors. I don't know. Maybe that could be true. That I guess like when you see like not really what people wear, but when I see like maybe Swedish homes, you see like things like IKEA. The fashion, the style does seem like quite neutral in a way, quite fashionable, quite trendy, not too over the top. Like if you compare it to somewhere I used to live in China, people dress like the most crazy stuff, bright colours, crazy designs, everything's just, I don't think there's a set style, everybody just goes a bit mad. But in comparison, Swedish people seem very like, yeah, I mean like what he's wearing, quite cool and trendy, which is quite muted and neutral.
no idea about this stereotype.
I have never heard of this.
No.
I think this is a personality. Well, we're both.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
We look like we're going to a funeral. So I think this may just be somebody's personality. I could see maybe
Yeah.
why in the winter, if you're wearing like a big jacket or something, they may come across as like just very boring or something like this fashion. But I just think that's kind of a personal thing or like maybe a seasonal thing. I don't know. Never been to Sweden.
I haven't really thought about it. I generally view, from an outside perspective, looking into Sweden, I kind of think Sweden has a good sense of fashion.
I think so.
People
Right.
generally have a good sense of fashion. Not because I'm Swedish per se, but I guess like during autumn and spring times, we do wear a bit more like earthy colors. But I mean, doesn't everyone do that?
I don't think
And
they do
summertime
actually.
is a lot of white. Like guys wear generally white shirts and girls wear white dresses. Like it's a very Swedish summer thing. So, but yeah, I guess it's neutral colors.
Yeah.
Yeah, living in Asia, the country I would maybe compare Sweden to by fashion sense is somewhere like Korea. When you go to Korea, even Japan, everybody wears like similar sort of clothes. You get like Uniqlo type style. It's very like simple colors. It's not too over the top extravagant. Again, comparing to somewhere like China, where like, it's just big brands, crazy logos, colors, like designs. Everything's very all over the place. So I think like Swedes do have a good sense of style, and yeah, you can tell me what you think. Maybe that's not the case in Sweden. Again, that might be just my stereotype. Swedes eat salmon and meatballs every day. Yeah, I've not heard that as a stereotype. I think that would be unfair. I'm going to guess this is not the case. Maybe there is some people who do that. I would imagine no one really.
That's kind of just definitely a stereotype. But Swedish meatballs are very
Good,
delicious.
right?
Yes, that's one of my favorite meals. I'll go to IKEA just to eat Swedish meatballs. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, that's probably a stereotype. Do you eat that every day? No.
So no, I don't. I think Swedish people, when we cook food at home, we cook a lot of Swedish food. Like Swedish style restaurants, it's not a lot of that. We have a lot of different food from other cultures. Like there's a lot of Japanese restaurants, Mexican, American, Italian, and so on and so on. So I'd say we generally eat that a lot. But yes, absolutely, home-cooked meals in Sweden are delicious, and they tend to be Swedish meatballs and very potato-based foods,
I love it.
salmon, fish of all sorts. Yeah.
I'm moving to Sweden. So
You're welcome.
good. Okay, so in the South,
Yeah.
I'm from the South. There's a lot of people who hunt for their food. Fishing's a big deal, so a lot of people go fishing and clean everything at home, like their fish, or they go hunting, or some people buy like one cow to use for the whole year. So I'm curious in Sweden, I'm sure it depends on your location, but
really does.
do people like do all their hunting or like cleaning at home, or is it like, I guess if you live in a city you can't really go hunting, but
yeah, but like city people, especially during the summer, we usually, at least from the Stockholm perspective where I'm from, we tend to, there's something called Stockholms skärgård, like a bit outside on the outskirts of Stockholm.
Okay.
You go there with the beautiful nature, it's a lot of water, like islands around that area. So I have very strong childhood memories of going fishing with my father and then cleaning and cooking the fish that we caught. And I do think that is a thing in Sweden, and I'm not saying everyone's doing it, but yeah, definitely a lot of Swedish people do that. If you invite friends over, I do think like you make your own meatballs.
Meatball party.
You make your own mix of meatball, like how to do it. You don't really buy frozen meatballs to that extent.
Tell me what's the best way to make meatballs in your opinion?
If you want to make a more nice meal of meatballs. This one is interesting.
Swedes don't like small talk. Yeah, I feel like maybe that, again, like when I've learned about the stereotypes of Scandinavia as a whole, it is more like people, I guess it's like the stereotype is that they're more introverted, so I guess that would kind of go hand in hand with that. If you ask me, I don't really like small talk that much, honestly. Like, I don't mind silence. I really like to talk if I've got something to say, but you can tell me again, this is maybe a stereotype. I'm sure it doesn't apply to everybody. I'm sure there's Swedish people who just love to talk about everything.
I feel like whatever I'll say to this, people won't agree with me, but okay.
What do I think?
Yeah, what do you
I know
think?
that Americans love small talk, because when you see somebody, you just say everything. Oh my God, how are you? How have you been? I mean, small talk's a big deal, I think, to Americans. So.
The thing is, when I look at Swedes, I do think we do enjoy small talk generally. If you compare it to, let's say, Asian culture per se.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
But if you then compare to America, who's very big on small talk, maybe I'm like Swedish people, we have a bit of a joke, because for me, when you go to your local grocery store or local 7-Eleven and you go there a few times, it's very common to be like, the weather is so hot today, or like so
Same in
cold today, or that sort of small talk. Me personally enjoy it a lot. I feel like it brings a sense of belonging, like
Sure, right.
you're
I agree with
welcome,
that.
like the small talk. Hi, how are you doing? I'm fine. I want to buy this. Thank you. Bye bye. Have a nice day. Like that sort of easy small talk is very common.
Yeah.
Some Swedes don't like it.
Right.
It's so personal, right?
Right.
But I do think I enjoy it. I have a lot of friends who enjoy it. I think Swedes typically enjoy it.
I think it's a personality thing too. Like, I guess by stereotype, Americans are pretty loud, right? So generally we just attract to each other and we talk a lot. But if you're reserved or you have anxiety, you may not be that kind of way. I guess it's the same with Swedes. Like, some people just don't want to talk to you, Honestly, I was just really surprised about the clothes stereotype, because, I mean, now I understand it looking back. I think it's more of a compliment. But sometimes when I associate things with stereotypes, it's more of a negative thing, right? So I was like, but Swedes look really good, like their fashion sense. So that's pretty interesting. I was interesting to see that as a stereotype. Or the small talk. I think Swedish people are quite talkative and friendly for the most part, so if they don't like small talk, then I'd be kind of shocked.
And I actually don't know, do Swedes like small talk? I think it's such a personal...
Wait, we should ask people in the comments.
I think locally, yes, very much, right? Then strangers on the bus, not so much.
Like leave me alone.
Yeah,
Well,
we
that's the
do
thing.
have, in Sweden we do have like a lot of personal space, right?
Right.
So there's a lot of that, like on the bus or on the subway, like generally want to be left alone in situations where a conversation is a deal of it at like
I think it could
stores
vary by place too. I'm from the South, so a lot of people are very hospitable. So everybody, talks to each other. Talk to a random stranger in like the grocery store is pretty normal. But if you go to New York City, somebody might spit at you. So I think it's gonna depend on where you go.
That went from 0 to 100 real fast. Right?
It varies.
So today we talked about...
Okay, cool. So yeah, as a Swedish person, tell me what you think about those stereotypes. Yeah, I guess like stereotypes are like never going to apply to everybody, no matter what country it is or what the stereotype is. But in general, do you think any of these are fair? Do you think any of them are very unfair? And tell me if there's any other Swedish stereotypes that you know of. Yeah, thanks.